Okay.
Nancy, I wanted to ask
How are
you.
you, Marcy? I'm sorry. Let me put in my earphones. Oh, very important stuff.
I'm well. I think you're the person I remember meeting at a Connect to Culture like years ago, right? Like not that many years ago, but like a bunch of years ago. Were you the Connect to Culture person?
I was briefly the Connect to Culture person. Yes.
Right. That's what I thought. When I saw your name, I thought, I remember her.
Hi. How are you?
Good. So you're now doing stuff like a consultant for Caring Kind?
That's a possibility. I actually work here full time.
You do?
I do education and training.
I
I do family caregiver workshops, do training for professional caregivers, and host education meetings every now and then.
Got it. Got it.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. I think I've had a bunch of different paths since our paths crossed. I think I'm trying to remember where I was. I think I might have been at Self-Help or Jewish Home
Okay.
but I ended up then going to Isabella and then working as director of a senior center up in Washington Heights and Inwood. And then briefly last year I worked at VNS Hospice, and then I worked at Atria Riverdale, and now I'm at Search and Care. Do you know Search and Care?
No.
So Search and Care is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. We're based on the Upper East Side, but about a year ago, I started at the end of February, started a West Side initiative. The mission is basically to help people be able to, older adults, stay in the community and age in place. And we offer a variety of services. We're nonprofit, privately funded, which is a refreshing change, needless to say. And you can find us at searchandcare.org.
Okay.
We have a whole bunch of different programs. We are subcontractors for under Lenox Hill Neighborhood House for DIFTA case management. So some of the people, some of the staff work just with the DIFTA clients, but we have a pet care and support program.
Very cool. Very cool. Hang on one second. I'm sorry. My life. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry. My life is so.
No. And I think actually one of my colleagues, Jacob Gonzalez, who is the co-coordinator of our Silver Circles program, which is kind of like tech support
Okay,
said he had registered. I think he may be on
okay,
tonight
that's
as well.
great. Okay,
But you can find us online, and
okay,
we
will do.
work with people Upper East Side, East Harlem, and
Okay,
Upper West Side.
okay, that's great. All right, thank you for letting me know that, Marcy. I appreciate it. Thank you. Janet, hello. Hi, Janet.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
Okay, thanks. How are you doing?
Good. I'm all right, thank you. Thank you for making your way to the meeting. We are
Sure.
expecting about 40 people supposedly, so I guess everyone will be getting on as they do. Janet, any specific question you have before we start off today?
Well, I have a 95-year-old mom, and she's got everything imaginable. Well, and she's very difficult to engage.
Okay.
I think her whole system is like on, off constantly. So it's a challenge she has a lot of aids right now, and she's been sick with a spinal tumors, paralyzed legs since 2018, but we didn't know it was a tumor in her spine until 2019, February of 2019. So
Okay.
she's home and she's so bored. She's smart, but she's losing her memory. It's
Yeah.
been getting worse for over a year and a half, I'd say. But so she was aware of it, and it's
Okay.
just getting worse now.
All right.
So
And are her aides able to engage her?
I would say she's very tricky. Her moods change, her personality changes from minute to minute. 1 minute she could like some TV show, and another minute she
Okay.
thinks it's too infantile. So, and you try something like a little magic dough, magic molding clay or something.
Yeah.
She rejects almost everything.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully we'll have some ideas tonight that sing for you, for your mom.
Thanks.
Just so you know that Caring Kind does offer a training for professional caregivers. That is only in dementia care. It's a 40-hour training in dementia care. And during that training, they get a pretty heavy dose of how to engage people with dementia in activities.
I don't
Sometimes
think they have time. After they work
Okay.
with my mother, they're exhausted. I don't think they have another 40 hours.
Oh, well, okay. I hear you. Got that. Mhm.
She's a challenge.
Yes, most of the people that are here are dealing with challenging people.
Yeah,
This
With the
dementia is
tough-
challenging. I mean,
dementia sucks. It really
it
sucks.
sucks. Sometimes people go through it easily. I mean, sometimes that actually happens. Sometimes people's personalities change and they get nicer and easier. Woo, yeah, those are great days.
So my mom can be spitting and raspberrying and nasty. We're getting that.
Spitting, if she can deal with a lollipop, spitting can be kind of staved off by having a lollipop, something to suck on.
Really?
Some kind of sucking candy. Yeah, because it keeps the mouth busy and we can't do anything else when we're having a lollipop. Make sure she's not going to swallow bits of it, that sort of thing. You can get a lollipop that's not so brittle from See's Candy, SEES Candy. They do like a caramel kind of lollipop.
I don't think she wants the sticky stuff in her teeth. She usually wants things get stuck in her gums, and so she wouldn't want the caramel.
Yeah.
Also, she has a lot of fillings that we don't want to come out. So
yeah, we don't want that to happen. Yeah. But sometimes
everything we pick, there's a million compromises. It's so tough.
I know, you're right.
But that's a
Crackers
good
work
idea.
too. If you put a lot of crackers in there, I can't spit because I don't have that much saliva. Sorry. We try to work it all out. Just so everybody knows today, and I'm telling you, and it's whatever time it is, 6, that we are recording this meeting for posterity. So just so you know, everybody knows.
Do you want us to be on mute, Nancy? Do you want us to be on mute during the?
It would be nice if you're on mute, as long as we don't have any kind of an audio issue. I don't mind people having their microphones on because I do welcome you speaking, asking questions, etc., as we go along.
And are
Trying to make-
you, if you're going to present and there are going to be slides, are you going to share posts?
There are not going to be slides. I do not do slides.
Got it.
I'm not a slider.
Okay.
I will show some information. You may want to take a screenshot of it, and I will make that information available to everyone on the meeting, if you'd like it to be emailed to you or whatever
Great.
after the meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Marcy, for being bold and being on the meeting with me so I can talk to you, the person. Otherwise, if you guys want to turn on your cameras, it would be really sweet because it's harder for me to talk to blank names. I can do it, but I prefer that I get to talk to you and your faces. We are recording the meeting, as I mentioned, and probably we're not actually going to start for about, I'd say 5 more minutes. If anyone has a pressing question about activities, I'll write it down on my piece of paper here and I'll definitely make sure I get to it. So speak now, here I am. Thank you for coming to tonight's meeting.
I have a question. My mom has a tendency, I mean, some of her egregious behavior I'd really like to tackle. So the spitting, that's a good idea about some sort of lollipop, but she also likes to tear up her diaper that's on her that may have just been, she's an on and off pee thing and a neurogenic bowel and bladder situation. So what she likes to do is take a wet diaper and pull out all the cotton that's been soaked in pee and throw it around the room.
Oh, I don't know if she
And
likes
she's
to
hit
do
the
that.
AIDS. She's hit the AIDS with it too. So it's very highly disgusting. I try to give her an F for the day in these kinds of things.
Probably doesn't matter.
It
I
doesn't
don't think
really matter.
she's not really going for grades at this point.
No, exactly.
Janet,
She wants
she
us all
needs
to be
something.
good students.
She needs something to do with her hands. Okay.
Exactly. And I try to fidget toy. I'm so limited. She doesn't really like to. Once you want to do something with her, she doesn't want to go with it. Like even a touch thing or a little fidget toy where you puff the circles. And
Well,
I've tried a few things, but I don't have good ideas. So
okay, my colleague Juan Carlos has a great idea for that. My colleague Juan Carlos, who used to work here as a dementia care trainer, he took a stuffed animal and put a little hole in the bottom of the stuffed animal, and he had his person take the stuffing out of the stuffed animal. Because she used to scratch her skin, she had to do something with her hands, something kind of smallish, and so he had her take apart stuffed animals.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
It feels
Thank
pretty
you
much
so
like
much.
a diaper, no doubt, because it's got that cottony thing, but it's not disgusting. Keeps the hands busy. Give it a whirl.
Yeah, that's kind of brilliant. Thank you.
He's kind of brilliant.
I never would have thought of that. That's very
I wouldn't
cool.
have thought of that one. He was really good at
really
stuff.
quite clear. That's great.
Oh, yep. So we're basically taking the activity that the person's already doing, which is shredding something and taking it apart, and we're just kind of modifying it a little bit so that it's a little more tasteful, shall we say. And the other thing is, if she is into it, she could restuff it. She might restuff too, on a different day or
we don't know. We don't know about her skills for that, but that's interesting.
No, yeah, but yep, that one works.
That's clever.
Okay, we're full of it.
Thank
We're
you.
full of clever here. This is our thing. This is what we do. The problem with being at home with a person with dementia is that we ourselves have probably 8 to 10 solutions to problems on a good day. There are many, many more solutions to problems than we have, basically. We just don't know that. We don't know them. So we think, oh, there aren't any more. But that's not really true. There's kind of a vast and large array of all kinds of things that can happen. And we actually need that kind of advice because, we are trying as hard as we can and doing the best that we can. And this is a really tough nut. And we do need as much help as we can get. So to that end, I am going to suggest to everyone that if you're really run up against something and you don't know what to do, you can always call the helpline here. Live transcription. Well, let's see if I can do that. I can try. Let's see what happened. Oh, yes, it did happen. Oh no, now we can really see what I say. That's a good thing. Thank you for asking that, and I'm very happy to provide that for whoever asked for that. So the helpline, yeah, 646-744-29929. I almost gave you my number. 646-744-2900. 646-744-2900. You run into a problem like Janet did where we don't have a solution, call the helpline. The helpline people are there to answer your questions and to give you additional resources if we don't have the answer that you need.
That's a 24/7 line, Nancy?
It is not 24/7. It used to be. Right now, it is a 9 to 5 helpline. You can call the helpline after hours, but you will get Google Voice and someone will get back to you the next day. The Alzheimer's Association has a 24-hour helpline. That number, I can't remember. Yeah, sorry. The Alzheimer's Association has a 24-hour helpline. The Alzheimer's Foundation of America, I believe, also has a 24-hour helpline. So there are many places where you can reach for help. Does anyone else have a pressing question? And then we'll get on with what we're doing here. Pressing question? Anybody? So everybody knows, again, I'm going to tell you that we're recording this. This is the last time I'm saying it. Okay, but we are recording this meeting. You're welcome to turn on your camera. I would love to see your faces, and it's really okay if you don't, if you choose not to. So I kind of have to, I'm Nancy Hendley. I've been here for almost 20 years at Care in Kind, what was the Alzheimer's Association. I do dementia care training for family members. I also do dementia care training for home health aides, and I run education meetings. So thank you for being here with me. I'm going to give you as many resources as I can today, and also give you some tips and tools of how to get people started, because sometimes, as Janet mentioned, getting people started or keeping people engaged is a very, very, very challenging thing to do, no matter how exciting your projects are or what you give them to do. I just want to mention this off the top of my head because it's on my mind and I better say it. There is something called Zinnia TV. I'm pretty sure it's spelled just like the flower, which is Z-I-N-N-E-A. Oh, I'm typing it. Zinnia. Z-I-N-N-I-A. Is that right? Anybody know their flowers? Yes?
I think IA.
Zinnia TV is actually an app for television that that is specifically made for people with dementia.
Oh.
Okay, you do have to subscribe to it. It's a pretty small fee, I think, but you should check it out because you can actually get like a little trial of it and take a look at it and see if Zinnia TVs might work for your person, because we know people with dementia have a very difficult time generally following television. Too fast, too much going on. And Zinnia TV has sought to answer that problem, and I like it. I think it's pretty cool. Just saying it because I was thinking about it.
Is it on YouTube? Do you know?
I don't think so. I'm not sure how you access it, but if you just type it into a computer, it'll tell you how to get there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to go in order, which is fairly rare for me, but I am going to go in order, and we're going to look at things for people in early stage to do. I am sharing my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Yes?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, cool. So the first thing, we're going to look at people who are in MCI or people in early stage Alzheimer's disease. And I'm going to put this right out front because this is a great program that Care in Kind is now offering for people who are in MCI, mild cognitive impairment, or in the early stages of Alzheimer's disease, and it's called cognitive stimulation therapy. Cognitive stimulation therapy is a 16-week program. The program meets 2 times a week for an hour. Right now, programs are running virtually, but we are also looking to do programs in person. We are doing programs in English, and we are looking to do programs in Spanish. So if you know someone who speaks Spanish, you can also call here. What you're going to do in order to call in for the sessions is call the helpline. You can ask for Dante, D-A-N-T-E, Dante Tipiani. He's a social worker here, and he is heavily involved with cognitive stimulation therapy. So cognitive stimulation therapy is a small group of people, somewhat like this group that you're seeing here. We've got maybe 6 to 8 people with 2 leaders, and it's a pretty rigorous hour of lightening up the brain, of stimulating the brain, doing group singing. There's a group name. They do current events with people. And there's a bunch of other kind of interesting activities that are done to get people thinking and keep people thinking, and also offering socialization during this pretty difficult time of COVID. So if you are interested, or your person is interested in cognitive stimulation therapy, you can call Caring Kind. Okay. Does anyone have a question about cognitive stimulation therapy before I move on?
How do you know whether you're in middle stage or early stage?
Okay. People in early stage are basically living independently. They're able to care for themselves for the most part. They're able to make a meal. They're able to dress themselves, bathe themselves, that sort of thing. They may still be going out on their own. They know what to do if there's an emergency. Those are people in early stage Alzheimer's.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions about cognitive stimulation therapy?
What do they have for the middle stage people? Because my mom might be more advanced, but she is bored. She would like something like a small group, something like that.
Okay. For middle stage programs, you might want to look into social adult day programs. Okay, they're called social adult day programs. There are many different social adult day programs throughout the city. Some of them are running virtual programs. Some of them are also meeting in person. Okay, if you're interested to find out what social adult day programs are near you, if you're interested well, if you're interested at all in social adult day, you can call the helpline and they will give you more information about social adult day programs.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Social adult day programs generally run longer than the early stage programs. Okay, a social adult day is going to be 5 hours long. Probably their virtual programs are shorter. Oh, sorry. I was thinking back in the day when we were really running programs. But yeah, their virtual days are shorter. They're not a 5-hour virtual meeting. Obviously, no one should be on one of those 5-hour meetings. So yeah, social adult day programs for people in middle stage. Okay. If your mom is with it and, able to hold a conversation, able to hang in like during a meeting that's an hour long, you might consider or ask about cognitive stimulation therapy. The person who talks to you will let you know if they feel like that's a really good idea or a good match. Okay.
Thank you. She actually wants a program that where she could talk about her poos and her peas.
That would not be cognitive stimulation therapy.
Is there anything? Is there such a thing? I decided I laugh at that.
I don't know about that one.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay.
That's her crazy thought. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else questions about cognitive stimulation therapy? Okay. So that's for people in the early stages. Let me see if I can call up another thing here. Let's look at this. Yeah. This actually comes from the Caring Kind Connect to Culture part of our website. So if you go to the Caring Kind website and look up Connect to Culture, you can find a cultural calendar. Okay, this calendar is going to let you know what events are coming up, right? So yesterday at Met Escapes, there was a person talking about kimonos, okay? That program, I believe that program was in person. Met Escapes, that is the museum program for people with dementia and their caregivers, is meeting somewhat virtually, but also in person. So if you're interested in a museum experience, you can look up Met Escapes. Okay, that was yesterday. We're doing a program with the Museum of Eldridge Street. You can look this up tomorrow. I believe we're going to find out online tomorrow what's happening with this program. There's a Chinese music workshop that's happening twice a month. Okay. And there's a memory cafe at the Met. And I'm just kind of rolling over these things just to let you know that this information is available to you. Okay. There are a lot of programs that are happening online. This one is actually online as well. So it's a way of socializing online for you and the person with dementia.
Nancy, I know that certain institutions like MoMA and the Rubin Museum also have their own programs specifically for people with dementia.
Yes.
And their caregivers. So some of the museums themselves have their programs as well.
Yes, that's right. There are programs at many of the museums. The Met, the MoMA stopped doing things virtually during COVID. I don't know why. I'm not sure if they're back up and running at the MoMA, but they were not for a while. I know the Rubin Museum is, the American Museum of Folk Art is, the Jewish Museum is running programs, whether they're virtual or in person. You would have to check with each institution. The Brooklyn Botanic Gardens is running programs also for people with dementia and their caregivers. I'm trying to let you know that there are many programs virtually, at least, running in the city so that you do not have to be sitting alone doing nothing. There are programs that you can look for and participate in. And also, I want to let you know that there's another calendar, there's another place where you can look for events, and it is through Renewal Memory Partners. It's called Renewal Memory Partners, and they have a community calendar. So their community calendar will list events throughout the city that are happening for people with dementia and their caregivers. So you have our website, the Connect to Culture calendar. You have Renewal Memory Partners, and the Alzheimer's Foundation of America also has an activities calendar. So that way you can see at a glance what's going on, usually with links so that you can sign up for things as well. Any questions?
Hi, this is Cindy. Could you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Cindy Lai from Kuiper. I want to find out like all these different activities, right? Do you
Yes.
guys need volunteers or helpers or anything in helping to organize and, and promote to people who need it.
Do we need help?
Yeah, or volunteers.
Yes. Yes. I want you to contact Meredith Wong here at Caring Kind.
Okay.
Her number is 646
Hold a second. 646.
744
Uh-huh.
2930.
Okay.
Okay.
Meredith
Contact
Wong.
Meredith Wong and tell her you're interested in volunteering. I'm sure she'll be happy to have you. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Mhm. Sure. Okay. Anybody else? All right. There's another, there's another listing that I had. Yeah. This is another listing for early stage resources. Okay. I'm going to just briefly read through this list. But obviously, this program may be still on hold during COVID. I'm not sure. At the Stein Center, you can call this number here to find out if the program is running again. I know the Stein Center was running programs for people with early stage, both like group socialization programs, and they also had sort of art making programs as well. The Memory Tree program at De Rote is another program for people who are in the early stages. The person you want to contact there is Elizabeth Fine. This is the phone number, 656-0558. For people that are in Brooklyn, there's the New York Memory Center in Brooklyn. The number is 718-499-7701. In Queens, the Queens Community House. Their phone number is 718-592-5757. Like I said, I will make this information available to you after the meeting. Their Riverdale Senior Services. It says it's closed. Not sure that's true anymore. Many people are opening up now that COVID is somewhat subsiding. 718-884-5900, extension 16 in Long Island Alzheimer's Foundation. And this virtual gatherings, I do not know who is running this program, but 347-301-6119. Okay. So, like I said, I'll make this available to you as well. The reason that I am sharing all of those things is just so that you know you're not alone, that there are things for people to do. Do you guys have a question at this moment? So I'm going to give you some ideas of how we get people engaged in things. And one of the most important things is probably that we focus on what the person likes to do or has liked in the past. Most people will respond best to things that they are familiar with, although those things probably will have to be altered somewhat for them to continue to do them. Some questions we might ask ourselves is, are they social? Do they like to do things with people, or do they prefer to do things by themselves? And what is their preferred sense? Do they prefer to listen to things, to watch things, to use their hands? Do they like organizing things, physical activities and games? Do they prefer to study something? Do they like reading? I'm going to put reading out there because most people with dementia can read far into the illness. Okay. They might not be able to read a long article. They may be able to read something shortened or condensed. The typeface may need to be enlarged, but many people can still read. Reading can be a very good activity. And if they cannot read, we can actually read to them as well. We can read short passages and discuss things. Yes, Marcy?
I was just going to say, when I worked up at Jewish Homes Bronx Division Nursing Home, I worked on the dementia units, and I had one resident who was a nurse by profession, also had a history of alcoholism. And when she first came to the unit, already was pretty confused. But I learned from her daughters that she had been a New York Times reader and had had a subscription. In fact, I think she's, at one point they re-got her a subscription. But I read the Times, so I would bring my newspaper for her. Now she really, and I would give her, you know, one of the sections, let's say. And I knew that she couldn't really read it at that point, but just the idea of physically knowing that it was the New York Times and that she had been a reader, and she would take it. And I think sometimes she actually did look at some of it. So it was a familiar thing that she had enjoyed doing. And so I would say maybe that even, you know, books that maybe someone has read and no longer can actually read or really understand all of, just the physical sense of holding them, and even, you know, whatever they get out of that, and looking at pictures, you know, could also, even speaking of pictures, showing people, you know, photo albums, family photo albums, or pictures of where people, you know, where they used to live, things like that, personal photos and mementos, I think can be a great way to engage people, even people who may not be able to verbalize things as well as they used to be able to.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that, Marcy. Who does the person work best with? Sometimes it's not us. Sometimes they'll do things with their grandchildren that they won't do with us. So let's make sure that we load up that time when the grandkids come for them to have something to do together. Who do they prefer to work with? What is the best time of day for their activity? Right? Someone might be able to be very engaged at 10 o'clock in the morning, but not so engaged with the same thing at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Generally, we're going to give people cognitive activities and things to do with their mind earlier in the day, because most people are kind of sharper earlier in the day, and later in the day, we're going to move to physical activities, maybe dancing, tossing around a balloon, taking a walk. Those kinds of activities generally later in the day are going to work better for people. Is there something that the person is already doing that can be modified? All right. How do we do that? We ask for people's help all day long. Okay. We don't need to think about activities that's only happening outside of the usual stuff. We need to have it happen inside the usual stuff by asking people for their help. Can you help me? Will you try? Most people will want to help at least do something. And many people with dementia are feeling very disengaged and out of it because we never ask them for help. And if we never ask them for help, they cannot feel useful and engaged and having purpose, which is basically what we're all looking for. Yes? Anybody question? I'm right here. Jackie, question?
Oh, definitely
Okay.
bringing it all in.
Okay. Marcy, yes?
I was also going to say that you can look at anything that you do with someone as an activity, whether it's really an activity in terms of, let's say, reading or music or crafts or whatever, but even just helping someone with the activities of daily living that you would normally, you know, be doing, you can engage the person by talking more, or, you know, starting a conversation, or maybe even playing music, so that that becomes an activity in and of itself, as opposed to a separate kind of activity.
Right.
Like you're doing an activity now versus
Right.
doing
Right.
in the day.
Right. I think if we think about this as engagement, as meaningful engagement with people, as opposed to an activity of, like, you know, planting something, or meaningful engagement can happen everywhere, right? I mean, meaningful engagement can happen when we're washing our hands. Okay. So let's think about engagement rather than necessarily than activity, by keeping some things in mind. For early stage people, we want them to make choices. Basically, we want them to make the choices of what they're doing. What am I going to do today? How am I going to do it? Let's put this calendar in order. Let's let them make choices of when they want to do things, that sort of thing. The person in early stage may be able to do activities that require moving from room to room. By middle stage, a person is going to need an activity or something right in front of them, right? But we're going to have to begin to simplify things. Okay. Even in early stage, my focus, my ability to focus and spend a lot of time and attention on something is going to change. It's going to be down to maybe 40 minutes from what it was an hour and a half. So I can go to a movie, but we better sit on the end seats because I may want to leave. And when I'm done, I'm kind of done. In early stage, I'm finished. And you can't really convince me that, oh, we should just wait till because that's not really going to work with a person in early stage, right? So we need to be mindful that the person's attention span is already getting a little bit shorter, and we might want to consider already setting things up for the person. If you're really interested in activities for people with dementia, you might look up Cameron Camp. It's C-A-M-P is his last name, Cameron Camp. And he did Montessori activities for people with dementia. So he took the Montessori method of presenting activities and used it with people with dementia. So it's worth taking a look at, just because it gives us an idea of how do we set up things for people with dementia so that they are successful. Too many steps, too much stuff going on for a person with dementia is generally not going to work very well. We want to remove distractions, right? Because if there's 17 things on my desk, well, I'm not sure which one of those things I need to focus on. So we want to keep things in early stage as normal as possible. We want to use short verbal prompts. We may be able to write some steps down. If you're interested in a book of, the book is actually called Memory Books. It's by Michelle Bourgeois. And she has made a whole book out of how do I make lists for people with dementia? How can a person with dementia follow a list, say to make coffee? So I'm going to break steps down so that the person can continue to do things on their own by having a kind of a checklist, maybe to do laundry. So I gather the laundry together, I put, I separate it or whatever, but those kinds of steps can help the person with dementia to remain independent. Yeah. This can go further into the illness so that the person may have a list of, maybe they just carry around a prayer in their pocket or something, a prayer lined out, right? So that when they're feeling nervous or whatever, they can pull the prayer out of their pocket and they can read the prayer, right? And this can help them. They're walking around with something, a self-soothing item, whether it's a prayer, it could be a card from a grandchild, or a letter that they really like to read. These kinds of things can be very soothing for the person with dementia. In early stage, we want to get the person started doing a task, and then we want to step back. We want to let them continue. A person with dementia is going to have a difficult time starting a task, but once they get started, they can usually continue. All right. We may need to prompt them again, right? Or stand by and be their guide or their coach. That's what we're looking for in early stage. And we're going to have to try to figure out what it is. And I think maybe you think I'm ignoring this idea that the person with dementia is going to tell you they don't want to do anything. Does that sound familiar? Anybody? Yes, I'm getting a yes. Edith is going yes. Because you might ask the person, would you like to do just about anything? And they're going to tell you no. Is that correct, Edith?
Yes.
That's correct. Okay, the person's going to say no. So I'm going to kind of end around that by saying to the person, would you rather do this or that? All right, I'm not going to straight up ask them if they'd like this, because they're going to say no. So I'm going to say, would you like this or that? Okay, generally, if I give the person two choices, they will choose the thing. If I want to do the second thing, if I want to do one of the things, I'm going to make it second. Let's say I want the person to do that. So I'm going to say, would you like to do this or that? And my voice is going to raise and I'm going to shake my head, yes. And chances are they're going to remember the that, okay? Someone asked me last week in a family caregiver workshop if they cannot get the person to go outside, and I said, give them two choices outside. Okay, would you rather get a chocolate sprinkle donut at Dunkin' Donuts or look at the puppies at the puppy store? I gave the person two juicy choices. They were both outside. I didn't say the word outside once, but both of those things happen outdoors. So if they make the choice, then we grab the coats and we get going. Those are communication tools. We need some communication tools in order to get people with dementia doing things. Basically, they're losing power over their lives, right? They're losing the capacity to do their checkbook. They're losing the capacity to chart their own course a lot of the time. And so when we ask things, they're going to say no to us, right? So we have to make it juicy for them. We have to make them a better offer. Sometimes we have to add something on. Like if we have to go get the blood pressure taken, we say, okay, let's go get the blood pressure taken, and then we'll take a walk in the park. Okay, so I'm adding the walk in the park to the blood pressure because nobody wants to go get their blood pressure taken, but many people want to take a walk in the park. And there we fill in whatever the person really likes the best. And yes, it is bribing. And yes, I am completely and utterly for bribing people to do anything. Okay, if you're interested in communication, you can come to the Family Caregiver Workshop. We do 12 hours. Understanding dementia, communication, behaviors, and activities. If you're interested in that, you can certainly call and ask the helpline about it. Yeah, getting people started. This is part of our exhaustion as caregivers because we have to get the person with dementia started. Not only do we get ourselves started, we have to get them going. But it is possible. I'm just letting you know that it is possible to get people engaged in stuff. And usually it's not until we get over that kind of very first difficult place where we can see, they can be content. They can actually do something that is enjoyable. I have a question in the chat I'm going to take. Would I suggest a timed activity, a timed puzzle game for someone in early stage? If someone responds to that, like not as pressure, then yes, I would say yes. I'm not much for pressing people with dementia. I'm not much for putting pressure on them. So a puzzle, yes. A timed puzzle, not so sure. Lily, you have your hand raised. Hi.
I just
Howdy.
had a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned trying to get the environment to have fewer distractions.
Yes.
I'm curious. I know when I'm planning activities, I like to have multiple modalities of interacting with materials, things like that.
Okay.
How much and I really toe the line between like, okay, this is too much. Okay, this is like interesting. Do you have
Okay.
like a rule of thumb for that?
Oh, I think it's kind of easy to tell when people with dementia get overwhelmed. I mean, you'll kind of see them back off, like, you know, they're going to drop out if there's too much stuff going on. They just shut down. That's my experience with people with dementia, is there's a shutdown. So we do want to stimulate people, and definitely we want to stimulate them multisensorily, right? Because some people like to look at stuff, but some people need something to touch, right? So I don't have a rule except for reading your audience pretty well, right? So I'm looking for that individual response. It's a really good question. What I find is that it's for people like, I don't know, because I'm a person that really likes to touch things and have things in my hands as well as look at things. But I know that in my experience with people with middle stage that most people need something in their hands. Most people need something in their hands. I mean, it's too hard to keep relating like cognitively, verbally for people without some other kind of stimulation coming in. How's that for an answer? Okay, thank you. Lily, you are connected to Lincoln Center Moments.
I am.
Do you want to talk to these people about it for a second?
I'd love to.
Go right ahead.
Lincoln Center Moments is a program at Lincoln Center for folks with dementia and their care partners. It's performance-based programming. All of it is free. And if you want to learn more about it, I can put the website in the chat, and we'll be starting our next season in September. We're also currently planning it. So if there's something that anyone wants to see in particular, I can also put my email in the chat as well. But I'm just really excited to be learning with all y'all.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Lily. I mean, I'm particularly fond of the Lincoln Center Moments program. Back when I was doing C2C, I got to train the first group of people when it was starting there. Yeah. But I really do love it. I think it's a charming program. And are you still hosting like audiences of almost 80 people? Is that your number? You still got a pretty big crowd, or what's going on?
We decreased it a little bit this past season, so that it was 60 people max in the room just for COVID. This year coming up, we're looking to bring more folks in.
Okay.
And we'd love for more people to be coming to the programs as well. We also have virtual programs as well as in person.
Right. And when Lincoln Center Moments runs, how many programs is that like per month? Is it one per month?
So this coming season, it'll probably be 2 or 3 a month.
Wow, that's great. It's a great resource. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being on the meeting as well.
I have a question
Yes.
for my mom is highly visually impaired. She had an occipital lobe stroke, but before that she had macular degeneration. So she's
Okay.
got only a tiny limited range of vision on the right. But she was
Okay.
just asked, I'm trying to probe her and ask her, what would you like to do?
Mhm.
She wants to kind of sing or have a group singing and talk about violins, of which she's really not an expert musician or anything, but that kind of group little discussion, or is there anything in the Lincoln Center that would fit her, Lily?
Oh yeah.
We
There.
probably get there. It would have to probably be virtual for her because she's paralyzed waist down from a spinal tube. I mean, I go on and on with everything
Okay.
wrong. It's hard to get her places, but if there's anything virtual.
Yeah, I think just like Nancy is saying, all of our programs involve at one point discussion, art making, music, and movement. So at any point, there might be something that doesn't feel very accessible, but then 5 minutes later, there will be. And our hope is for everyone to be engaged as much as possible throughout. So I think you'll find that we have a few different ways of participating and engaging as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Janet, to your point, there are 2 groups. Are they both called the Unforgettables? I know that at least one of them is called the Unforgettables, but I think they called both of them the Unforgettables, meeting on the Upper East and West Side. Does that sound right to you, Lily? I've got you on there. I'm pretty sure they're both called the Unforgettables, but you can get to either one of those groups. Those are groups of folks with dementia and their caregivers who are getting together and singing for an extended kind of period of time. Twice a week they were meeting. Not sure if they're meeting in person or virtually right now, but the Unforgettables is another resource that you might look up by looking up the Unforgettables and then dementia. You'll be able to find that online. It comes through NYU. There it is. Lily's giving it to us in the chat. Lily, couldn't ask for more than that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So great group, nice time, you know, singing, good things. Yes. Okay. So let's talk about, let's talk about middle stage, but I'm just going to throw this up here first. This is something my friend Alejandro made up called a magic book. Very simple, very low tech, pretty successful with people with dementia. Easy to do. Print up pictures, put in binder, very easy to do. What does your person really like? What do they like to look at? If they like all Elvis, then their book is made of Elvis with his songs and maybe lyrics inside. I know this is really low tech, but sometimes it's very nice for the person with dementia to have something in their hands, to have something that they can choose when the pages turn. To them, this makes more sense than an iPad, most of them, right? Who are these people? Good to know. Look them up on Wikipedia and put a little piece over here about who these people are. Why? Because when someone comes to visit, they can get this book out and look at it. Very simple, low tech. Places in New York I love. Great, do places in New York then. Usually included in this book is where I come from. A map of the place I come from, the kind of cultural things that go on in the place that I come from. Those sorts of things also included in my very personal book. Easy, cost virtually nothing, but very enjoyable, especially if I have to go somewhere because I don't want to sit at the doctor's and read the pamphlets. They're boring. This is better. God forbid I have to go to the hospital. I have something to take with me. Could be US presidents, could be whatever I was interested in, old cars, ballet. Okay, that's a good one. This one works. It works. Okay, so consider doing that. For people in middle stage, slow down. Okay, slow down. If that's all you do is slow down, you're going to do better with a person in middle stage. Their brains are changing quite a bit by this time. They're unable to process information as quickly as you and I do, right? So think of as slow as you can go. Sometimes I tell people to watch the speed that they walk. Watch their speed. Watch the speed of what they do. You slow down to their speed, because if you're at their speed, they can take in the information. Otherwise, not so much. As an exercise to yourselves, when we're finished here, you can write down the number of steps to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You don't have to do it now. You can do it when we get off, but I'd like you to write down the number of steps that it takes to make a peanut butter sandwich. Because generally what we're doing is throwing a task at the person with dementia. We're saying, make a sandwich to them, right? And that just totally is out of their realm. It's out of their realm, okay? So we need to say, okay, go get the bread, bring it over here, right? We're gonna have to break things down for people with dementia in middle stage. We can't expect that they will understand us, whether it's bathing. Wash yourself. There's like 1,000 steps in washing yourself. Yeah. Okay, so simplify things, slow things down, take all those products out of your bathroom. If there's 20 bottles, that's too many. I can't deal with that if I have dementia. Okay, so in the bathroom, we're going to think about taking the number of products out. When we're offering to do something with the person with dementia, we need to offer a bit at a time, not too much. Okay, too much is confusing, and basically I'll shut down. I'll just tell you, no, I'm not interested. Go away, or worse, right? So another middle stage activity. Not everybody's going to love this, just so you know. Not everyone's going to love this. I got that already. But if I was going to give this project to a person in middle stage, I would not show all of this. I would hand them one of these. Okay? I would give them this, and I would hand them this. And I would let them do whatever they want with it. Okay? Because by middle stage, it doesn't matter what they do with it, you know? They could put it anywhere. If they happen to put it here, cool. Then we're going to move on to the next piece. I'm not handing them this whole bunch of pieces. It's too confusing. Puzzles work pretty well for people with dementia. Why? I don't know the answer to the question. But puzzles work pretty well. I'd start with an 18-piece puzzle. I would start with a puzzle that is not Powerpuff Girls or any kind of crazy little Tom and Jerry cartoon. I would start with a puzzle that the person likes. Maybe they like flowers. So find a flower puzzle that has 18 pieces and take one piece out. Take one piece out, hand it to them. See if it goes back in, okay? There's something about putting things back together that people with dementia like. Right? They like to take things apart. They like to put things back together. Okay. So look for puzzles, even if the person never did puzzles before. Many people by middle stage can get engaged in a puzzle or puzzle making. Okay. The Alzheimer's store, which you can look up online, the Alzheimer's store has a lot of products. Oh, you did that faster than me. The Alzheimer's store has a lot of products. You can look them up online. They do custom puzzles for you. If your person had a favorite dog that they love, they'll do a puzzle of the dog for you. So the person can have that puzzle of the dog to put together, the grandchildren to put together. There's a lot of products that they have. So if you're looking for something to do for the person with dementia, look at the Alzheimer's store and just check it out. Some of the products are very practical, clocks, etc. Some of the products are just for doing additional things and activities. So you may have to demonstrate what goes on with a person in middle stage. They may not understand what you're wanting them to do in words. So you may just have to show them what to do first. Yeah. Do you guys have questions? Somebody? Yes, no? Edith, got a question?
Not at the moment, thank you.
Okay.
This is good information.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Thank you. So for a person in early stage, I'm giving many more choices. Okay, I'm in the choice realm in early stage, and I'm talking to people a lot more. By the time a person moves into middle stage, and this is a time when people generally have an aide come into the home because they're not safe by themselves. By the time a person is in middle stage, I am asking less. I am asking them to do less. I am kind of like introducing things. Like I might say, well, look what I found. I'm not saying, do you want to do a puzzle? I'm not saying, oh, this is really great. You should try this. Because if you say that, they're going to say no, right? I'm going to say, check this out. And I'm going to put it in their hands. Okay. I'm not giving them a whole lot of choice or options here. I'm just kind of pushing things at them a little bit to see if they kind of take up whatever it is. I always have to say this too with family members. I do not expect you to do all of this activity stuff yourself. Okay? If you can do some activities, probably the day will go a little bit easier. That's my guess, right? But I do expect home health aides. I do expect people that come into your home to help. I do expect those people to know what they're doing, first of all, and to know how to do activities with people with dementia. And if they don't, send those people here, send them back to us, okay? Because they should know how to engage people with dementia. That's part of their job, right? So don't feel like a failure if you haven't done all of this stuff, because just getting from A to Z for you guys as caregivers is plenty, okay? Just saying that. I want to say that to you. Yes. What else? A person with dementia is going to need more time to do the activity. Okay, something that you think is going to happen very quickly and very easily for them, it takes longer. Everything takes longer. Getting dressed takes longer. Eating takes longer. All of these things just take a lot longer time for the person to process. Hi, Cassie. How are you? Thank you for checking in here.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, it's okay. You're here. So we're focusing on the interaction, not the product. It doesn't really matter, you know, if whatever you do together is a big old mess. What matters is that you spend time together and that you enjoy the time together. And I'm going to go so far to say that generally it's a good idea to have something to do, because for us, for many of us, sitting around talking is a fine thing to do. Right? We're going to sit, we're going to talk to each other, we're going to bounce ideas off each other, and that's all going to be fine and well. But for the person with dementia, this conversation piece is a difficult piece, right? This is hard for them. But, you know, putting things in alphabetical order, maybe not so hard for me. Something to do with my hands, something for us to talk about together. I like the idea of having something between us to talk about, which is why we did this, because we have something between us, something to look at, something each of us brings an experience to, rather than trying to search around in my head to figure out what you're meaning and trying to come up with something that makes sense to you. Having something to do is a good idea. Yeah. Okay. So another project. Go to your non-consent store and buy notebooks that open like this, that open flat. Okay, and it's just plain paper. National Geographics, stack of National Geographics, and a scissors. Hey, this is kind of a no-win, no-lose. Anyhow, it's a good project. This is a good project. I did this with my people in middle stage when I ran a day center. I ran a day center a long time ago. And everybody had their own notebook. Plain notebook, pretty easy. Glue stick, very easy. Scissors. Safety scissors if you must. For some reason, a person with dementia likes cutting. I don't know why. I like to cut out coupons from a paper because that's useful. I like to cut things out. Just let people choose, right? So a person chooses nature and their book is full of nature, right? And if they can still talk about it, then I'm writing down what they're saying about this. So here it is. They're talking about it. If they can write, they write. If they can't, I'll write for them. Because now we have something to talk about, right? Whatever they choose. I like National Geographics because they're beautiful. But if the person likes old cars, then it's an old car notebook. It's their notebook of old cars. And they talk to you about the time they bought that car and who was with them and this and that. And I'm writing all that information down so that now I have a story and it's their story, right? This guy, he liked blue things. Everything in his book was blue. So he had a blue book. These are good because they're cheap, they're simple, they let the person have choice so they can make their own thing. It's not a one-off project. This can take 3 weeks or whatever many weeks to do one, and they can do another one. And now they did something, they made something, they can share it with you, they can share it with the people around them. This one's a win. I know the ones that work. Okay, so that's a good one. You can use photographs if you want to. You know, if the person's very interested in that, then go for it. But don't quiz people, don't test people, don't make them remember Aunt so-and-so. It doesn't really matter at this point. What matters is that they enjoy doing the thing, right? Yes, Marcy?
As you're describing this, Nancy, and thinking about what we've been talking about all along, I'm wondering, you know, since many times, let's say family members, if one were to do an activity like this, is it better to do it just with one person? Because it seems to me maybe that to have, let's say, some family members with whom the person is close, to make it sort of a group activity with those particular people that the person feels comfortable with? Or do you think it's better not really to involve more than maybe one or two people when you're trying to do an activity? Assuming it's a family, you know, as opposed to being a person being in a, you know, like a Care and Kind group or something like that.
I think that different people are so different. Really. I mean, some people like to sit around a table and do things with a bunch of people, and some people prefer to work alone. It's kind of up to the person, I think, to decide how it is that it goes with the person with dementia, what works best. I mean, we'll see. If the person is engaged and wants to do it, fine. If they're just happy to be in a group of people sitting and chatting, that's good too. But I mean, of course, as many people as we can get involved in things, the better. I'm always saying things like, okay, get a bunch of cards and write cards to everybody. You know, get a bunch of those old cards and write to the grandkids. Okay, let's write a note to so-and-so. And so then we write a note and we put a stamp on it. And now we have a need to walk outside. Okay, so we got to go out. Good. Plus we're sending out, you know, communication. Send out communication, because sometimes that communication will come back then. There'll be something in the mailbox besides a bill. How nice is that? And, you know, it's also a way of letting other people know that people with dementia still have something to contribute. They can still reach out. All of these things that many people really don't understand about a person with dementia, they get kind of written off, if you will. And then they don't have that opportunity. You know, writing is good. Many people wrote for many years. People wrote letters, right? So there's, you know, kind of relying on that older stuff, what we used to do, can be kind of nice because the person's long-term memory is still fairly intact. So I'm going to remember writing so much, you know, something that's normal to receive a letter from somebody. An email is not really normal if I'm 94. I mean, I may have adapted to it. I may accept it, you know, but it's not what feels normal. It's not as juicy as getting a nice letter from someone, you know. Yeah, I mean, those pleasures of what I did in the older days can be revived or massaged, if you will, you know. And I say that, you know, writing thank you notes to the doorman, these kinds of little things, these tiny little things that really start to add up in the person with dementia's life, so that they're not as isolated. You know, bake cookies for the doorman, everybody, and then bring me some when you're done. I really like cookies. Bake cookies for the doorman, bake cookies for the next door neighbor. Okay, these are activities. Yes, now I'm cooking, now I'm baking. Good. We cooked and baked in the day center. That's what we did. Once a week, that's what we did. Cooking, baking, good. Making cookies. Because why? Because the doorman doesn't know very much about dementia, maybe, right? And now he knows that, oh, a person with dementia can still bake a cake with somebody. How sweet, right? So, I mean, we can be ambassadors changing how people see the world of people with dementia, as well as giving them some company, because now that guy has to say when you pass by, those were great cookies, thank you, right? Instead of just, hello, great cookies. Good reminder, yeah? So baking, cooking, normal activities, hand wash. Nancy's all about the hand wash. Do hand wash. It's a repetitive activity. It gets my hands clean. It smells good. The stuff doesn't have to be dirty. Nobody has to know that. It can be very clean, but it can be hand washed because it's purposeful. Many people have done hand wash in their past as well. There are activities in 2 places you can find videos of me doing COVID activities. Hand washing is one of them. On our website, you can find the videos of activities. Yeah, I just under videos in the Caring Kind website, you can go to YouTube and look my name up, just like you see it on the screen. And you can see a bunch of videos that I made at the very beginning of COVID of very practical things to do in the home. Because in the beginning of COVID, we were home. We couldn't get out. We couldn't get stuff in. And so I made a bunch of videos about what's at home, rearranging the silverware, rearranging the books on the shelves, making bean bags, polishing the jewelry, all kinds of stuff like that. Okay. By middle stage, I like to sort things. I like to organize things. Yeah, stuff like that. So you can find those videos there as well, which are very practical videos of things that you might do at home. Yeah. Any other questions? A couple of examples of other things. Word games. If people like words, I like Boggle. I like Boggle because things are 3D, a little easier for my hands. I'm starting to lose some dexterity in my fingers, but Boggle, I like. Doesn't matter what the person spells out, but it can be fun just for a little bit of time. Boggle, Scrabble, that sort of thing. I wanted to show you another puzzle. And what I showed you before that puzzle was made by Melissa and Doug. This puzzle I like because it's easier to hold than many puzzles. And the person that particularly enjoyed this puzzle was a teacher of special education. And he had dementia, but he really enjoyed doing this puzzle every day. It took him about 40 minutes when we started the puzzle. In the year, it took him 40 minutes. By the end, when I left, he was doing it in 20 minutes. So he also learned how to do that puzzle in a quicker amount of time. So there was something really stimulating to him because it was very specific to him as well, because he had taught that for many years. Yeah. Question? All right. So we're moving into late stage. And I did mention earlier, there are social adult day centers. Okay. And many social adult day programs are opening again. And generally they provide 5 to 6 hours of transportation, lunch, and lots of activities for the person with dementia during the day. So if your person is at home and really needs something to do, and if you need a break of time, most social adult day centers will bus the person to their center and take care of them for the day. Okay? Interested in that? Call our helpline and ask about social adult day programs. Yeah. Okay, thanks for that. Thank you. Lily, you're gonna have to come on to every meeting with me from now on. Marcy, yes. Oh, I can't hear you. Hang on. Unmute. You're muted.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see the little thing. I'm thinking also that the New York City Department for the Aging website,
Yeah.
which I think is aging.nyc.gov or aging.ny.gov,
Okay.
New York City DFTA, has a wealth of information. If you go on the website and you look at services, I think the tab is services, you can find all kinds of things like senior centers,
Yes.
management, all sorts of things. So that might be a resource
Yes.
to find other programs
Right. Right.
that might be helpful for people with dementia.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for that, Marcy. So that's the New York City Department for the Aging. What was I thinking about? Lost my thought. Sorry. Yes. New York City Department for the Aging. Something. Okay. I'm sorry. I had a train come in and go out. Oh, okay. I'm sure it will come back. It'll come back around. Yeah. All right. Let's look at people moving into late stage dementia. Thank you for that. Thank you, Marcy. Thank you. All right. So people moving into late stage dementia are having a much more difficult time of engaging. We're having more trouble engaging them. The one thing I did want to say, Janet, was there's an organization in New York City called Visions. It's called Visions, VISIONS. And Visions may be able to help you with some more activities for your mom and engaging your mom. They're actually really a great organization, and you might want to contact them about ways of engaging your mom who's having really difficult time with vision issues. Okay. The person by late stage is going to be moving pretty much into the sensual realm. All right, so they're moving into the world of the senses. And what does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? What does it taste like? What does it smell like, right? So they're moving into the world of the senses more. Okay, and that journey is beginning somewhere in early stage. I remember what I was going to say. Remembered. Okay, senior centers. If your person is still in early-ish stage, moving into middle stage, a person in middle stage can go to a senior center with a caregiver. Okay, senior centers offer an incredible array of activities. I mean, exercise is my first one that I think of, because people with dementia don't get enough exercise. Most senior centers offer exercise classes, and many offer multiple exercise classes. People in early stage certainly able to follow along. People in early middle stage able to follow along with a caregiver with them. Okay, a senior center can be a pretty daunting place if you have dementia and you're in middle stage. It's much harder to navigate. Right? But a senior center offers painting classes, low pressure, any kind of classes, you know? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in your neighborhood senior center that with a caregiver, you can take advantage of. So don't, forget the senior centers, because they are offering a lot of activities that people with dementia can participate in, right? We have to be careful, right? This person can get there on their own or not, then, they need to come with somebody, but it doesn't mean they can't participate. And I think people get kind of pushed out to the sides and don't take advantage of those things that they could take advantage of. at a senior center. Yes, Marcy.
So just FYI, most senior centers are under the auspices of the Department for the Aging. And 60 is the baseline age for being a senior, according to the city of New York. And it costs nothing to join a senior center. And once you join one senior center, you just fill out an application and all of this stuff. And once you join one senior center, you get a little tag with a barcode and you could go to any senior center. And the cool thing also, in addition to the activities, they offer lunch. They offer a nutritious, nice lunch. So you could go with a caregiver could bring a senior to the center, do some activities in the morning, have lunch, and some of them offer breakfast or dinner as well, and then do other activities. The only issue is that if someone has, this might happen more in a later stage, significant behavioral issues, that could be problematic. But senior centers, and since the pandemic, and now continuing as we presumably are getting out of the pandemic gradually, senior centers are offering both in-person and virtual programs. So those options still exist for people who may not be mobile enough to go to a senior center. Some of them also may have a van that could pick people up depending upon how far the person is from the center. So those are some things about senior centers.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy with myself that I remembered. Yeah. I think senior centers are pretty underutilized in some ways, and certainly, you know, if people with dementia are managing with a caregiver, it's a good outing so that we don't have to stay in the house all the time, because I think that's been one of the most difficult things with COVID, is having people be in the house all the time. Okay, so a person in late stage is going to be more bedbound, chairbound. They're not moving around very much, okay? And whatever activities happen with them have to happen like within 8 to 10 inches of them, okay? Because things are changing with their perception and their ability to see and focus on things. And so whatever activities has to come right to them. They can still enjoy your reading to them, audio books, right? Nature things on television, nature in books, right? I'm all about nature, just so you know. Nature sometimes gets dropped out, but needs to be involved with the person with dementia, because nature is very soothing for most people, right? Some element of nature, whether we're planting things, whether we get a fish in a bowl that we have to feed every day and talk to. I know someone who named all their house plants and took care of the house plants, and that was their thing, right? Or even a walk in nature. But I think nature sometimes gets left out of this picture, and nature can help and really soothe the person with dementia. So let's not forget nature. Nature programs on television are usually something that a person can tolerate as well. So singing, music, of course, I mean, I can't say enough about music. We all know music. I did this acronym many years ago. It was called Dream Every Day. It was called DO, D for do, dream, right? We're spelling dream. D for do, because we have to do. We have to generate the activity. Read, because reading's that important to me. Reading to someone to bed can be very soothing. The person with dementia is having difficulty sleeping. Reading can be very soothing at bedtime. Let's not forget their spiritual tradition. Prayer can be very satisfying and soothing for people with dementia. Let's not forget that. Sometimes it gets dropped out for some reason. Read, exercise, as I just talked about, activities, things we're talking about now, and music every day. So do read, exercise, activity, and music, dream every day. If we do that every day, if we incorporate those things every day, the person with dementia will generally do better. Okay. If we're forgetting one of those aspects, like exercise, I encourage all of you guys to get a prescription for physical therapy. Most people get 2 a year, I think, from their insurance. You can get a physical therapist come in and not only show you ways of getting the person out of the chair comfortably, right? So that you don't get hurt, so that they don't get hurt, but also activities and things that they can do physically, right? And the other thing is you might consider asking for occupational therapy, because an occupational therapist can come in and also help you with activities, things for the person to do, ways of modifying what you do with the person to make it easier for them. So the PT world, the OT world, both of these people can help you to get the exercise in place and also to get activities in place. Okay. I read your notice. I read your note on the chat, Eduardo, and I will address that in just 1 second, okay? So for the person in late stage, we're going to concentrate on what makes them the most comfortable. And this is something we might ask ourselves anyhow, kind of like a bottom line question. What's going to make my person the most comfortable, right? Like for my mom, sitting around doing nothing was not an option. It was not an option because she liked to be busy. And so how do we provide her with safe activities that she gets to be busy with, right? Can I have her wash the windows with clear water and some paper towels? Can I have her shine something or polish something? Can I have her put a drawer in order? Those kinds of things, because she likes to keep busy. It will make her most comfortable. So comfort is a question. Comfort, what makes this person comfortable? What are their remaining skills, right? A person in late stage, more soothing activities, more kind of massage activities. Here we can ask the physical therapist, how much can we massage? What's the best way to massage a person? That kind of thing. What's the best, what kind of music do they like to listen to? Do they want to listen to church music in the morning or in the afternoon? Let's look at the time of day and make sure that it works for the person with dementia. It's not irritating them. So a person in early stage is going to be able to tell you right away, you're going to get the message fairly quickly, oh, I don't like this activity. Person in middle stage, going to be a little more of a dance, of that, like kind of figuring out, is it something they really do like or they don't, or, how do we get in there? The person in late stage, we're going to look for things that are like eye contact, or like, are they breathing in a different way? So our skills as a detective of whether or not this is going well are going to get better as time moves along and the person is less able to let us know how things are going. Yeah. Okay. So Eduardo, to answer your question, I am not on this particular meeting to talk about behavioral issues. I encourage you to call the helpline, and also maybe to sign up for the family caregiver workshop. We do at times do a whole 2 hours on behavioral stuff, but this meeting is not exactly set up for that. Yeah, and the family caregiver workshop, I think we look at communication issues, which sometimes are the basis of what's going on behaviorally with the person with dementia, is that we don't understand them and they don't understand us, and that can cause a lot of disruption and difficulty. In terms of Elopement, I'm not going to really talk about that issue either today, but I can say that it's a pretty good idea for you to check out the Wanderer Safety Program, which you can look at on our website, which is going to issue a bracelet that looks like
Maybe
that.
let me see before. I started to note some.
The Medic Alert Wanderer Safety Bracelet. On the back of it, it says, I'm memory impaired
should
and
be
it
done
has
by
an
8.
800
I
number.
gotta pee anyway.
Yeah, so definitely call the helpline. What day are we on here? Today's, you know what today is. It's Monday. You can call the helpline tomorrow. You can ask to speak to Elizabeth about signing up for the Wanderer Safety Program. There are things that you can do in your home to make your home safer for the person with dementia. I'm going to write in the chat a website called thiscaringhome.org. You can look at that website, thiscaringhome.org, and it does address some of those issues about keeping the home safe for the person with dementia. All right. Questions?
Question. My mom is able to say, help, help, help. I need help. She's talking all the time like that. She's asking people on the TV screen to even help her because she has some reality issues. You know, she's just started a Depakote, which is supposed to keep her calm, but it's only 3 days in. So I don't know if it's going to fix her reality, but she's in and out of real reality.
Right.
So what is there? It's a complicating factor, I guess, when you get a little psychotic. And what is there anything to know about that? Look, I don't know what to do with this.
Most of the medications, these medications take a while.
Yeah.
Okay? There's something called the blood-brain barrier. It protects the brain. Most psychiatric medications, it takes a while for the brain to kind of like, the drug builds a chain so that it can get into the brain. That's why it actually takes like a few weeks sometimes with the medication.
Right.
Help is difficult. Help. I suppose we need to put on our detective hats and go, help. How uncomfortable is she? And can we make her comfortable? That would be what I'm hearing is I'm uncomfortable. And what can we do for the person with dementia to make them as comfortable as possible?
It's such a hard thing because she's on laxatives and enemas and poos and peas, and it's really almost because her neurologist said we'll do comfort care and you'll do as comfortable as possible, but there's just no way. Her nerves are shot from her tumor and there's paralysis and there's nothing comfortable about laxatives and enemas and pooing and this and that.
I would have to agree with that.
So
Janet,
I have no feeling. Yeah.
Are you in a support group?
Yes, I am, but I'm the only one with my mother was like 5 to 8 times more complicated than everyone else's mom because of the multiple disabilities at this point. So many.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a nice group. I get a lot of support anyway, but it's so, when I can't even imagine what it's like to not feel and have no sensory in her vestibular and her, she's thrown if she turns her head left and right. Everything is off. It's just a really tough trap she's in. I wish I could make her comfortable. I don't see it really a real way, but we're trying. I mean, we've got nice aides trained in dementia particularly, but she's comfortable with them. She looks forward to many of them.
Okay.
But
Okay. Right.
Tough.
Janet, it's tough stuff. I mean, I empathize with you and I hear you. And sometimes the best thing we can do is try and be okay with our trying.
Yeah,
it's very unfortunate and it's very difficult to see someone that you love and care about in that kind of situation. And we would love to be able to give them some relief, and if we can, we can. And I've sat in a room with caregivers for 2 years, I think the 2 years where the caregivers were really trying to make the person comfortable and they were not able to. And they had to live with that, the best that they could do,
Yeah.
you
That's
know.
what I say to them. I do say that we're all trying our utmost, and that's all we can do. But
Yeah.
to feel effective is another story. It's just too many things that happen to her.
Yeah. Somehow we have to find a way of feeling effective somewhere in our lives. And it may not actually be, with getting your mom to a place where she's absolutely 100% comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank
I'm
you.
with you. We're here.
Great.
You can always call us. And sometimes all we can do is sit with you.
Yeah, I've spoken with Dante. He's great. Everybody's been
Oh.
quite. But thank you.
It's pretty great. Agreed. Okay. All right. Anybody else questions about activities? You've been mighty quiet. You can certainly ask questions.
I have a question for you. This is Lily. I'm wondering, when you're creating activities, have you found any activities that are successful for specifically folks with dementia to do together, so that it's being really led mostly by them, but you're setting up the environment for that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would love to defer to people with dementia telling you the answer. Okay, so I'm saying contact Dementia Action Alliance, DAA, Dementia Action Alliance, and ask them that question. Because I'd rather hear it from them, right? Hey, how can we make this great for you guys? I know myself, I had 2 guys who were veterans and they washed potatoes together. So they did an activity from back when they were buddies. They didn't know each other in the Army, right? But they could do that activity together. And it had nothing then to do with us, but just setting it up so that they could go with it. Maybe that helps a little bit. I'm trying to think of other things. I mean, to some extent, depending on the level of the person, like reading a recipe and doing it, that could happen as well. So the instructions, the person could read instructions, the other person could do instructions. You might think about something like that, where there's an instruction piece and a do piece. What kinds of things do we do together? What sorts of things do you and I do together? How can I adapt the things that we do together to people with dementia? Normal things that we do together that we need several hands for, maybe something that we need 4 hands for. In the day center, people took those skeins of yarn and one person had them around their hands and the other person rolled the yarn off the skeins, back in the old days. So that was a 2-person activity that they needed each other for. What do I need you for? What does a person with dementia need me for? So then they can work together. I don't think it has to be like so out there dementia specific, just what do we do together and how do we help each other to do something? Yeah, to build something. Yeah, good question. Great questions. Love the questions. Yes, Marcy.
I was going to say, apropos of Lily's question, doing something like doing dishes, or I remember, and again, this might not work in all settings, but when I was at the nursing home, one of the residents who was, I guess, moderately demented at that point, having her set the tables.
Right.
So maybe doing something like that, if there are 2 people and you're in a setting where something like that takes place, have people set a table, or
Right.
maybe, do some cleaning activity. Well, like if you're washing the dishes, one person can wash dishes, another person can dry the dishes.
Mhm.
you know, something like that, where
Yep.
there's
Yep.
a joint thing.
Yep. We made bean bags in the day center. I did have a sewing machine. Somebody could still sew and use a sewing machine. Okay, so some people could make the shape and trace it. Other people could cut it out. Some people could measure out the beans. And so we actually did kind of a big group project, but something like that where people have different skills and abilities to make a product. Bean bags were good. They were good. You can always make them and say, oh, we're going to give these to the neighborhood school. You know, we can pass it off like that, making something like that. Yeah. Other questions? There's some pretty good activity books out there if you're like into the activity books. I like Virginia Bell and David Troxell, Best Friend's Guide to Alzheimer's Care. It's just good. It's easy. You'll get some idea in there, no doubt. Yeah, Virginia Bell and David Troxell. I think she just turned 100 years old. She's been at this for a long time and she knows what she's doing. So that's a very easy book to read. The other one, there's two books out, Best Friend's Guide and the other one,
Did they do the 36-hour day?
no, that's not her.
That's not her.
No, this is more specific to activities, I would say. You can always look up Teepa Snow. Also, you can always look up Teepa Snow as a resource on YouTube. She worked with Senior Helpers for a while. She has an activity video through Senior Helpers, I believe, on YouTube. Teepa Snow, Teepa Snow, SNOW, like it's not snowing outside right now. Teepa Snow. So activities, things to do with people with dementia. Some of the most interesting activities I've seen, though, in my own experience with home health aides is people really utilizing the activities that the person with dementia has always been engaged in. In one case, a person was a children's librarian, and whenever there was any sort of difficulty or challenge, they would always turn back to the children's books and sorting through to which is the favorite children's book, or if you were going to read a book to children today, what would you read to them? And they were able to kind of just source a lot of activities from what the person did in their lifetime. So anything that I would also go around and look for the
Thank you.
3 greatest accomplishments. This comes from a book called Contented Dementia by Oliver James, which I highly recommend actually as a book for communication. Contented Dementia by Oliver James. In that book, there is reference to the person's 3 greatest accomplishments. So knowing what the person really felt proud of in their life, what they were good at, what they did best, build activities around that. Because, you know, if the person was a great swimmer, then build activities around looking at his medals for swimming or looking at famous swimmers of the time, you know, find ways around their accomplishments. So we're already going to a place where they feel good about themselves and build activities from there. Yeah. What else? Time Slips. Yep. Time Slips is an interesting organization. It gives you a way of asking questions about something, I would say. It gives you a way of talking about whatever it is you're looking at, whether it's a picture, a way of making conversation. Yeah. Thank you for that. What else? I'm here. Your questions, your specific questions. You're at home. What are we doing? What's going on? How are we getting this person to do stuff or not do stuff? Talk to me. You're welcome.
I've had another one.
Mhm.
Are there any materials like I know that I found that getting grips for paintbrushes was really helpful.
Yes.
Are there any kind of materials that you recommend that are like very, yeah, that are good, like adaptive kind of technology materials?
I'm supposing you've already been through the Alzheimer's store and seen what's available there. I'm sure that there are, I would look in the occupational therapy realm for adaptive materials.
Nancy,
Yes,
this is Kathy Hand. Styrofoam eggs from the dollar store
okay,
are the best adaptive thing to use. They're
All right.
cheap. You can get probably like a dozen styrofoam eggs for $1.
yeah,
And you can just stab a pencil through it, stab a paintbrush through it.
okay,
Yeah, I use it
Okay.
all the time.
great, thank you, really
welcome.
good, thank you. Any other ideas, Kathy?
I would be pirating your presentation if you asked me to speak. I do the Memories in the Making watercolor painting program with Alzheimer's individuals.
Okay,
And I totally agree with you when you said before about working with the 5 senses.
mhm,
We are fortunate here in Wisconsin that we have the Memories in the Making, we have the Spark program, and we do time slips. And I've been trained in all of them, so
mhm,
I use things from all of those programs for
okay,
my Memories in the Making, but definitely talking about the 5 senses,
mhm,
because everybody can relate to that and everybody sees something different. And you were talking before about doing something that a bunch of individuals living with Alzheimer's could do together. Just getting images and asking them, a cottage garden, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? What can you taste?
right,
Is always best, because everybody's going to have something different based on their experience. And like from time slips, yes, and everybody sees different flowers. Did you
Mhm.
grow a garden? What'd you grow in your garden?
right,
I will say the fun thing is, what do you hear in the garden when people start making noises of birds and bees, and everybody starts making noise?
Mm,
When you're doing the group activities, this, it's an icebreaker of once somebody starts, then somebody else will, and somebody else
right,
will.
right,
Thank you.
great, no, thank you. Kathy, do you have any other resources that you know of for activities that you think people should know about?
I did put in the chat the Global Brain Health Institute and AARP came
Okay.
out with the 30-page book, memory cafes. I refer to your website.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the memory cafes because typically you can find one in any time zone and
Mhm.
any day of the week.
Mhm.
Because when I will share this, my mother lived with me for 9 years and I was her caregiver. And when she would get up to go potty in the middle of the night, instead of having to fight with her to go back to bed,
Yeah.
I kept an arts and crafts box at the kitchen table. And we would go sit at the kitchen table, and after about 10 minutes, I'd yawn and say, "Don't you think we should go take a nap?" And she's like, "Yeah, I think we should." So it was easier to get her back to bed.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Kathy.
You're
Kathy, is
welcome.
your program available online? Your watercolor program, is that available to anyone online?
I will say since COVID, I have done some group things online. I don't advertise it, but if people reach out to me, I will offer it up to them.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you want to, can you put your information then in the chat so people can reach if they'd like to from this meeting?
Sure,
Thank you.
no worries.
Thank you.
Is there, does anybody have an idea for something on the YouTube? My mom has a smart TV. It's not easy always to get her into the wheelchair. It's not, she's sort of a little bed bound. But for some of these, she used to really enjoy magic painting books where you just dip a brush in water and you just push, but then she had a stroke, so she lost almost nearly all her vision and she can't position her body to get to that magic painting. But is there any other something like these ideas that you're just putting out? Is there anything of a systematic something with the gardening or something on YouTube, a special channel or something?
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that question. I know that the park rangers had a nice program here in New York City. The park rangers had something online where you could go and the park rangers would talk about a certain bird or a certain kind of plant that was in the
might be
parks.
That's interesting.
And
Yeah.
something about the rangers, because they were instructing, and they were very calm and very easy and very enjoyable. So I like the park rangers. I'm not sure it's on YouTube. I don't remember. It's been a while since I looked that up. There was another one. Oh, I don't know. Bob Ross. I've been watching Bob
Yeah.
Ross. I'm sorry.
He's
It's just
relaxed.
like he's like a tranquilizer. I totally enjoy it. You know, just if you want to watch somebody paint. I don't know. I don't know of any other resources right now. I've not been looking on YouTube for things, but anybody else have an idea there?
Okay. Thank you anyway.
This is the part where I generally say, I hope everyone is actually really taking good care of your own self. I hope you are joining a support group if you have not done that, and finding some kinds of activities that are good for you. I should start the program with that, but it is really critical that you care for yourself. Not only that, that you enjoy yourself, because, you know, joy is kind of like contagious. So if we can find a way to care for ourselves, and we need to in this really, really challenging time, do that. Take care of yourself. Yeah. Anything else? Any other questions, thoughts? People have been so generous, and thank you very much for putting all of this information in the chat. It's been very, very helpful, I think, to everyone on the call tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I encourage everyone to stay in touch also with Caring Kind and keep an eye out for education meetings or for things to do. Because as things open up and we open up, more programs will be available in person. There is an in-person dance program here, just so you guys know. I think that it is July 20th, called the Brain Health Salon here. Look at the Connected Culture calendar to see what's going on. There is a movement piece going on that is in person here at Caring Kind. And we are having more events. We had an event with the Orpheus Chamber Orchestra a few weeks ago here. So we are starting to have open events here at Caring Kind as well, live. I have pretty much completed myself here, I think. I can take your questions and I'll definitely stay on till 8. Otherwise, I will send you out the information that I told you I would send to everybody who's been on the meeting tonight. And if you have other questions, you can certainly call in the helpline tomorrow and ask them. Bye. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Lily.
you.
Thanks for your help. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye, Marcy. Thank you.
Bye.
Good to
Thank you.
meet you. Kathy, thank you for coming into the meeting. I appreciate it. There we go. Okay, Jackie, did you get what you needed tonight? I can't hear you, sorry. Can you unmute yourself?
I sure did. I got a lot of information, a lot of resources. I'm very happy that I joined the crew, and I want to thank everybody for enlightening me.
All right, great.
And
Thank you.
everybody stay healthy and safe.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Okay, take good care. Thank you. Thank you,
too.
Kathy.
Bye-bye.
All right, thank you, Jackie. Bye.